Hello everyone, welcome back to the Andstall Racing IMSA series. We're back here for round 5 of 8 as you see a car spinning off in the background of the broadcast. So we're here at Road America for this week's event. Always great racing at Road America, particularly in the GT3 class. A couple of big long straights as well, which means we'll get some passes throughout all three classes that we have in the field. Not quite sure why they're showing in a funny order on your screen at the moment. We'll get that sorted out. Sure. But you can see warm up now. I'm joined by Simon Davidson today, and we're going to be taking you through half an hour of qualifying and then an hour long, sort of halfway between a sprint and endurance race. It's a little bit long for a sprint race, so 2 pit stops as always with the fuel. What are you looking forward to today, Simon?
The feeling of melting to dissipate. Unfortunately, I think I'm in the wrong country for that. Just for context, it's currently something of a heat wave in England right now, and I am suffering as a result. In terms of racing, though, I do like Road America. It's big old track with big old straights, big old power bands. If you can get a car that can take some of these corners and just build speed, like through turn 1, out of turn 14, maintain it through the kink, you can just get such a run on opponents, and you could very easily set up passes. It's also big enough where traffic shouldn't be too much of a factor. Obviously, we're still down on hypercars for this season compared to previous ones, but even if there were more, you still have plenty of space to work around them, so you could focus more on the individual racing, which is always pleasant.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had a slightly reduced field size in the hypercar last week, but got it back up to 9 drivers for today from the looks of it. So nice improvement on what we had last week, I think, particularly coming back to what is a pretty popular track, one of the one of my personal favourites on the calendar this season. Reminder, we've still got a few rounds to go. We're going to some more great tracks, including Le Mans and a couple of others that I'll walk you through now. So, like we said before, this is round 5 at Road America, and we've got round 6 is next week at Belle Isle, Detroit, and we've got a week off, and then we're going to go to Portimao and then finish off the season at Le Mans, which is a first for Anstel Racing. We don't tend to go to Le Mans, particularly mainly due to the track size, and worried that we would have some issues with the stream, but we were fine when we did some testing pre-season, so we're going to go back there. GT3 green flag is flying for qualifying, so don't know why we're still being shown GTPs on the wall. We need to follow the GT3s. We had a great race last time out in the GT3s. We saw some people make the 1 stop, but we also saw how critical qualifying was for this driver on screen, Ignis, who gained a lot of ground on his rival in the championship, Adam Jarvis. Adam Jarvis? Gained a lot of ground on him in the championship based off qualifying a few places ahead and then running his race with the pro drivers really rather than the AM drivers. So really impressive race from him. So we're going to get some good laps here today. As we've said several times so far this season, great mix out there of the different cars. Plenty of competition in every car. We've had a couple of drivers move cars at this point in the season, not quite happy with where they've been so far and deciding they're going to sacrifice their points scored so far. So at the halfway point, giving up all of their points to go at it again in a different car and see if they can work their way up the standings with some better performances. So that's going to be really, really interesting to see. First car to take the flag is going to be pro driver Fabio Ponta. He'll be the first car to have a run at this lap. We're going through that famous kink section here right now. Really difficult to balance how to take it in the GT3. It's pretty flat, I think, but you're right on the limit of grip. And then through Canada corner on his warm-up lap to start what is a pretty complex lap and a demanding lap, particularly on the tyres.
I was turning some laps in a GT4 car the other day. I think I got like 5 laps in before I needed to pit for the fronts because they were just going and I could feel them going. And obviously, you don't really want to be taking tyres when you're just taking 2 fuel stops, so you're going to be really careful managing these fronts in race conditions. This is not racing conditions, this is a push lap now for Ponta as he comes all the way up the hill, down this long straight the other way, finally hits the timing line, gets underway for the first lap. Turn 1, as fast as you dare go, plenty of space on the outside that's all inbounds, so it's all about carrying speed through the flick. Downhill, turn 2 is not a corner that actually exists. Turn 3, bit slower, bit more of a corner. but again, all about setting yourself up, because once again, big old straight, underneath the cheese bridge, keeping it all the way to the right-hand side, setting yourself up for the dive bomb. Turn 4, once again, not a real corner. Turn 5, heavy downhill braking section, bring the car all the way to the outside curb, kiss the inside, back out again. Not as much space as you think is out there, but still need to make as much of it as you can. Turn 6, blind uphill, hard to find your brake markers there, but again, you want to just get as little brake as you dare, because you, again, all about momentum, all about carrying that speed onto the exit, because it's a big straight. Not much brake, if any, for turn 7, just a lift. And then turn 8, fairly standard left-hander, nothing too crazy going on there, but then we have the carousel, one of the more famous corners of the track. Big, over 180 degree corner, you're basically just half on the throttle the entire way through, waiting to find the exit, stomp on the gas, get all the way down the corner, in towards the kink. A lift if you're scared, but you can go flat through there. And then it's hammer down all the way down the back stretch, through 11A and 11B, into turn 12, Canada corner. And again, just take as much of the curve in and out as you dare. There's plenty of enough space to work with. Over the crest of 13A. And then bring the car all the way to the left-hand side. Find the brake somewhere in that gravel, different colour tarmac patch. Again, extend track limits all the way up the hill. And eventually you'll find the timing line. It's a big stretch.
Yeah, thanks for taking us through that lap. Fabio Ponta sets a benchmark time of 2 minute 4.136, which is about a second quicker than what he did in practice, and a second clear of Fabio Ponta and a second clear, well, almost a second clear of Matteo Batali. Luigi Nespolini gets a little bit closer, about 3.5 tenths off. So good lap there from Fabio Ponta, really laying it down. Quite a long lap here in the GT3, just over 2 minutes, and that out lap obviously taking slightly longer as well. So we can see nearly 5 minutes into the session, these guys have only got one lap in. Be interesting to see who's fueled for what. Vincent Ossoms looks like he's on for a great lap. He's got a couple more, well, I say a couple more corners, that big long stretch of straight to go. He's going to come across the timing line now, and we're going to see that time popping up to P2, 2.5 tenths off of the current pole sitter, provisional pole sitter Fabio Ponta. Daniel Maggioni with a good lap in the Porsche, closest driver to the Ferraris at the moment. Ferraris seem quick around here at the moment.
Always seem quick in this league, to be fair. Like, they have been, the 07 Ferrari specifically, have been putting out banger after banger after banger when it comes to qualifying performance. So it's not surprising to see them repeat that performance, but yes, they are certainly the team to beat right now. And if they're all running Ferraris, the Ferraris can look damn good as well.
Yeah, pace is great from not just that car. It is worth pointing out, it is the drivers as well doing a stellar job. Obviously all three of them in the pro class as it stands, but currently the highest placed AM driver is Paolo Antonori. So Ignis didn't set a valid lap time on his last lap, or he came back into the pits, it looks like, because he hasn't set a lap time, and Adam Jarvis also hasn't set a lap time. So those two are on the back foot as it stands. Ignis is a couple of sectors away. Fabio Ponta still pushing on this lap. He's had a couple of yellows, but perhaps not far off what he previously did, because he's got that purple middle sector, and he's pushing as it stands, the same middle sector, sector 3 of 6. Those timing lines giving us a great view of a lap around here. And it's a wide moment in the final corner as he pulls off, resets to pit and go again. That's 6 minutes gone in the 14 minutes of qualifying, so he won't get another run after this. Maybe he's going to go for 2 warm-up laps or push, but he's going to have to do something a little bit different to try and optimize the time and use the time in the way that he thinks is best. So that might mean waiting until the end. You always want to go out at the end. All these drivers constantly laying down rubber on the track. You want to be the last driver to take the checkered flag, or the last driver to cross the line before the checkered flag, so you can set that lap time. So really close at the top of the field at the moment. You're currently seeing the intervals between drivers. We're just going to flick that over to gaps for you so you can see the spread in the field. You're going to go down to P10 before we're a second away from that pole position time, that incredible pole position time as it stands 2.5 tenths clear of Vincent Ossoms is Fabio Ponta. At the moment, Vincent Ossoms on another good lap at the moment. Daniel Morphy again struggling in that first 2 sectors. I think that's really showing the tyre wear, particularly turn 1. When Simon talked us through there, you could see just how high speed it is, and you're really going to scrub on, put a lot of pressure on the fronts, and they're going to scrub the whole lap around here, particularly in...
It's every corner in this track that's like so heavily front loaded. Obviously turn 1's like the big one, but you're going to get it through turn 7, you're going to get it through turn 11, you're going to get it through turn 14. You are just shredding the front as much as possible. And this is not a short lap. I think you can maybe get one good push lap, but on the second, you are really going to start to feel those fronts go off, and I think you can maybe only get one good push lap on this track.
Yeah, that kink as well. Big on the tyres. So I think that's
Yes.
why we're seeing people struggling with more than one consecutive lap, and that'll be something to bear in mind for the race. I believe we've got a pretty hot track temperature here as well at the moment. Yeah, track sitting at 39 Celsius, so very warm track as it stands. I'm not quite sure what time of day
That's
we're
almost as
at.
warm as it is in this room right now.
Yeah, so that's going to play a factor in the race as well. I think we're seeing the tyres drop off after one push lap in qualifying. So if anybody's too abusive on the tyres, they might be quick at first, but then they're going to drop back quickly. Tim Trains, the invitational driver for this week's event, running in the pro class as it stands on the standings, but he will not score points. It's a one-off entry, but he's slotted himself into P5, good position to fight in the race. Ignis with a pretty stellar lap that we didn't see him come across the line with that lap, but that's moved him up to P6 in as the highest place. Adam Jarvis, his championship rival, nearly a second off of what Ignis has done, 8/10 off of what Ignis has done, and Paolo Antonori ahead of Adam Jarvis as well. So if Ignis can stay up there, he's done an incredible job. Adam Jarvis has done a great job to pull that forward around so far this season, with it seeming to be a little bit off the pace even in the officials. So hopefully for the Ford drivers, they get a little of a bop advantage brought back to them next season. But as it stands right now, there's a few people improving. Matteo Ubertali is one of them. We can see this beautiful toe he's getting on his way into Canada corner. Car in front dips a foot in the gravel, but he's going to get away with it, it looks like. So Matteo's going to lose out a little bit in these two corners. The car's going to get really unloaded as you come over that crest. So easy to make a mistake in this final corner as well. Goes without saying, tyre limited, but really difficult as you're going downhill. You lose a little bit of downforce. The car's not being pushed into the ground in quite the same way. He's going to get a run and a pretty mega toe, you'd have to say, here down to the line. That's Matteo Ubertali. Does he improve his lap time? He does. Moves up a couple of positions to P7, but he'll want more than that.
I keep going on about getting in good towing quality in these sessions, but like you see the track map, you see how much of it is straight lines. You need a tow if you want a good lap time. There's no way around it. You can definitely give up some of the downforce through the corners. A lot of it can be a lot more grip limited, especially the infield section. And yeah, you may give up a bit of time through there, but you'll more than easily make it up just by chasing someone. So it's definitely worthwhile just trying to get, if you have a teammate in the session, try and use them. Otherwise, just get on the back of someone and try and stay there as best you can. Currently running out of time, so we'll probably see people start to leave for the final laps in the next minute.
Oriel Falk looking for improvement here. Chris Van Stuylen crosses the line. Where's that lap time going to put them? Don't think it was valid, so they're going to stay where they are. Ignis looking to improve. Vincent Ossoms has improved off camera up to P... Well, not up to P2. Already was P2, but up to within 100th of the car ahead. So Fabio Ponta not set for pole right now. There's definitely challenges to come from people, particularly as we see the track ramping up in performance. Ignis moves up to P4 with a mega performance. Gonna secure that title a little bit early on if he carries on with these kind of performances. Adam Jarvis will be hoping for something to go his way in the race, but Denzel Deruva has also moved up to P11 right now, so he's putting in a very good performance. I think he has also changed car for this round, yep, from the Ford to the Porsche, so finding a bit more performance in the Porsche, which makes sense given what we've seen. Oriel Falk come across the line and goes up to P7.
I think I prefer the Porsche GT3 in general, but the Porsche around here does surprise me that it's getting good performance. I remember driving that thing in a few test laps a while ago, and that kink is just so terrifying in that car. It is so heavily balanced towards the rear that if it just gets unsettled through there a little bit, it goes completely around on you. It's so terrifying. So I'll need to see if they're able to maintain that, and if they are lifting through the kink at all, or if they do actually just have the setup that's able to keep it planted through their 2-minute warning comes out for the GT3 cars. So need to get these outlaps in. Actually, I think it might be too late if you leave for an outlap now. I think that might actually just be time. It's more than 2 minutes around here, so...
We've seen pretty long outlaps ranging from 2 minutes 10 to 2 minutes or 20 from what we saw the first time round. So yeah, pretty long outlap. So over for some of his drivers, Kiko Lakaye, who we saw pulling off a pretty incredible move last time round. You can see that on the shorts, was on for an improvement, but pulls over to the side of the track. Denzel still trying to improve out there as well. As we're seeing the floor.
The floor is good content.
What his camera angle is, but there we go. No, doesn't want to go back. Let's find someone else we can follow around. Vincent Ossoms.
Okay?
Oh, look at this close action here.
If they're both on push laps, it's actually really bad for both of them.
Yeah, that's Vincent Ossoms trying to make his way past. I'm not quite sure who that is behind him. We'll try and work that out.
No, Jesus
Car
Saavedra.
12. Yes, so you can see why he wants to get past Jesus a little bit off the pace. So that might have cost Vincent the shot at pole. We saw him improve in that second sector, but like you said,
you need to cover everything because anywhere you're definitely giving up lap time. And given how compared this series, I don't think you can afford fighting that long around a track like this.
Gonna carry on, but yellow in that sector looks like he lost about 6/10 in sector 3 to what Fabio did last time round.
That sounds about right.
Checkered flag.
Checkered flag flies. I don't know how many people are on now cancelled out laps.
So car 86 will be the last driver who'll be able to set a lap. Car 15 took the checkered flag afterwards, and Vincent pulls into the pit lane. No improvement for him. Luigi Nespolini is looking to improve though. Through Canada corner. No car in front of him, which is ideal for just this few corners alone on the track, pretty much. And then he's going to have that big run down to the start-finish line, which is positioned fairly centrally on that big long straight. So the exit from the final corner, really, really important for both the start of a push lap, but also the end of a push lap.
Now, the fact that the centre of this straight is still longer than a lot of straights on the calendar as it is. But let's just along the track, no improvements.
Track temp has come a little bit, has come down a bit of a step in this session, about 1 and a bit degrees, 1.2 degrees from where we started. So track temperature is improving. I'm not sure what the time of day is. I don't know if you can find that out for me, Simon.
It is 4 in the afternoon in Sim.
Yeah, so we would expect to see the temperature dropping a little bit.
Last few drivers come through for their lap times. Lemeray hits the checkered flag. Don't think that's an improvement. She ends the final corner. Foot through the floor. It's just a long straight waiting for this to come through. Not a lot of green there for Tim though. That should be an improvement, and it is in time but not in position. Still needs another 100th if he wants to get 6th place off Alessandro Izzo. As the green flag shown to the GTPs, and they'll set off as we have a... Ooh, I'm not sure of that. Just an awkwardly placed GT3 at the end there.
Green flag flies. Chris Van Stryland moves up right at the end of that session. Obviously, we have that 2-minute buffer, but the lap time being slightly longer than 2 minutes here. I'll let race control make sure
that investigating for race control.
That's with Chris Van Stryland, so I don't know if they think he crossed the line too late to set that lap time. I remember what I said. I think number 15 shouldn't have been able to complete another lap, which it looks like they did. So.
Oh, you did say that, didn't you?
So I'm not sure. That might be a pit lane start. Should be a pretty hefty penalty, but would be, you'd have to say, appropriate. We're going to follow the GTPs around now. Jan Volmer looking good on the outlap. Not that that really means much. Quickest in sector 1.
Jan Volmer, the lead car here, doesn't have a toe. I thought Volmer was the lead car. Whoops. Volmer does have a toe, and that is very good for him.
Car number 37, Oysen Herford, who's won a few races this season, is without a toe. clearly thinks he can do the lap time anyway.
There it is. Car 15, pit lane starts at the lap after taking checkered flag. And that is going to be a very rough penalty to take, considering that he's going to be at the back of the field and also won't have any tow anywhere. So he's going to need to pick off positions on the long run, and that's going to be a real struggle for him. Either way, Hereford will be leading the field through to the checkered, the green flag for the first flying lap of qualifying.
Into turn 1. The speed through here in the GTP will be pretty impressive. Opens up a lot more than you expect it as you approach the apex as well. It looks quite tight from on board, but actually just sort of the way the corner opens up on exit means it's a pretty high speed corner. Turn 3, that is. Although the next actual corner is turn 3, although realistically it's probably turn 2 when you're actually driving the car. That's a bit tighter, as Kirby said when he took us round the GT3 lap. Davide Favaro pretty impressive so far behind Pete and Oyston in sectors 1 and 2. Oyston obviously still probably a favourite for pole. Davide Favari's first race in the GTP, taking the move to switch from GT3 to GTP, obviously removing himself from the GT3 championship in the process, but decided this is where he wants to be. Although someone else has gone even quicker in sector 1, and that was Albert Preem in sector 1 and Sergio Sanchez in sector 2.
How is Colombo there? Colombo's at the start-finish line. That doesn't make sense to me.
I think he reset to pits.
Oh wait, no, we're on flying laps. This is okay. No, it does make sense. I'm an idiot. I forgot these were the flying laps. The heat stroke has finally set in.
Sanchez looking competitive. We can't see him on the time screen at the moment, but I can tell you from iRace Control that he's setting purple sectors in sector 2 and 3. Quinta Verdonca set the purple sector in sector 4, in sector 5 as it stands right now. So Oyston only quickest in sector 4 and sector 6, but he's the only driver to go through sector 6 at the moment. You would expect the Acura to turn pretty well in that sector though. So Sanchez looking good right now. Let's see where that lap time's going to put him in the car. Number 1, 2, 3. And he's going to move up to P2 within 4 hundredths of Oyston Hereford, just over 3 hundredths off of pole position as it stands. So that looks like that's where the fight is. But Oyston isn't going to give up. The Acura's in the window now. Purple in sector 1, but quickly taken away by his teammate Jan Volmers. He's on a good run as well. We'll carry on watching Oyston round this lap. And everybody's improving. So the tyres in the GTP taking a little bit longer to get up to temperature. Now you just got to make sure we don't overheat. Track temp is now down to 33.3 degrees. So continues to drop, which will help these drivers.
With that drop in temperature comes a drop in wear, but also an increase in performance. The track just gets a little bit grippier in these slightly lower conditions, and you can really get it into the corners then.
Sanchez quickest in sector 2 overall again, but Jan Volmers quickest in sectors 1 and 3. The Porsche of Jan Volmers is in a window and working well. Oyston Hereford sets a new best sector 4 where he was quickest last time round. Would expect to see that in the Acura. That's working well around this track in certain areas, but maybe struggling on the straights a little bit compared to some of his rivals. But Oyston is green everywhere. Sanchez isn't. He's yellow in sector 3, but Jan Volmers is improving, but he had to reset to pit, it looks like, so he's aborted that lap. He'll have to go again. Yellow flags for Quinta Verdonca, I believe, has had a little bit of a moment. Oyston improves at the front to go 3.5 tenths nearly clear of Oyston Hereford. Sanchez now on the run down to the line in the Cadillac as it roars past the camera to take the checkered flag line, the start finish line, and but still 2 tenths off of Oyston's lap, so struggled on that second lap. Oyston, the Acura, maybe getting into a bit of a window. I think we saw this last week as well, where Oyston was able to sort of improve as the session goes on a little bit more with that slightly more gentle introduction for the tyres.
Yeah, if you can just babe them through the first 2 laps, you can definitely get them perfectly up to temp for that second flying lap. And then just still an absolute belter of a time like you see there. Vara then comes home in third, currently now 0.8 off the pace, with Donk, Preem, Stiller, Volmers chasing that time. Colombo and Coop yet to set times. This track can actually be really painful for 1X, as I found out, and then obviously you want to like carry as much speed through some of these corners as possible, and sometimes you can just end up carrying a little bit too much. And as wide as the track limits are here, they do still exist. You can't go onto the grass, you have to keep it on the tarmac. So you just got to be a bit careful there, especially just on the exits. There's still not really looking like they're improving for Varo. 2 greens, Coop also on 2 green sectors right now, so some potential for lap time is... Well, I suspect there that Sanchez didn't like that lap and decides to bury the car and the evidence.
Yeah, Davide Favaro looking to improve here. Green, yellow, green. So time to be found on this lap. It currently sits P3, but he's 8 tenths off of pole position. He'll be looking to close a gap to P3 and consolidate that to P2. Sorry, consolidate that P3 start, or maybe move up onto the front row. Will obviously ultimately be the aim, which there is opportunity for. He's green for most of the lap here.
The scale matters. He needs to find 0.6 of a second just to find one position here. Across the line, what does the scoring and timing have? It not enough. Gets 0.4 of an improvement, but that's still only good enough for the 3rd place he already had.
Yeah, he'll need more than that to move up onto the front row, obviously, but he's done a fairly good job of securing that P3 as it stands. Alex Kopp was green everywhere, but that was his first lap. That's put him about 1 second off. So that pack there, P4, P5, P6, incredibly tightly bunched up. So we've got a car parked on the start-finish. Well, not the start-finish straight, sorry, on the second straight. So I think race control will be having a look at why that car is sat there.
It's only a weird place to leave a car. Usually you want to be much more off the track if you're just trying to pull over to get a tow.
It looks like everyone is moving now. So Sergio Sanchez in the only Cadillac in the field this time out. Currently sits in P2, so that car clearly working well around here. Bit of a self shout out to Anti-Store Racing, but myself and Andy, our race director, drove a Cadillac around here. I think it was last season to win one of the IMSA E races, so it does work well around here. And a lot of people running that car around here that time, so I think it works well around here. But obviously these drivers have picked a car for the season, so perhaps Sanchez's decision for that car is going to work out well for him this time round. Davide Favara, who we're watching now, improving again on his last lap. So yellow in that 3rd sector, but he's done 2 greens and a purple, so 3 greens and a purple. Oysten Hereford looking to improve as well with a couple of yellows, but that purple as well, maybe bouncing it out a little bit. What's that going to be when he comes to the line? I don't think it's improvement.
It's just green on the final one, but yeah, as you said, not an improvement, just 0.1 off of his previous pace.
But Favaro goes to pole position.
Snipes him.
So 200ths, 300ths nearly, well, 2.5 hundredths off of pole position as it stands. Well, ahead of Oysten, that is. So Oysten needs to find a little bit more. And on that last lap, he didn't. And there's 4 minutes to go in this session. There's time for an out lap and a push and maybe another push, depending on how quickly you can make your way around the outlap. But we're sort of seeing, I think, about 2 minutes to get around the outlap if you want to be slightly more gentle and bringing up the tyres and the GCP tyres.
You only have time for... you only have time for 1 flying lap if you left now. So I think what we're going to do is, if people are going to do it, they're going to be waiting a bit just to get the track as rubbered in as possible. Leave at about 27:30-ish, I would say. To make sure you give yourself enough of a buffer to make sure you got that 1 good flying lap, but you will only get 1 of them.
Oysten improving though, improving everywhere so far around the lap. The Acura turning well through the... and then into the kink. Not even needing to use all of the curb, and he pulls off. He's going to reset and try to go again if he can. So knew the improvement wasn't enough. Sanchez, though, looking to move back onto the front row with an impressive lap so far. Just the final stretch to go now.
Didn't quite get all of the final curb, but he kept the car pointed forward, so it might have a bit of more of a run going. No, not enough of an improvement. 0.05 of a second between the top 3, though. That is wild.
Yeah, that's what we need. So reduced field size from what we're used to, but it's not affecting the competitiveness of this field. We've got a great battle for the podium as it stands, and very, very closely knit field behind that as well. And there's nothing to say that those cars behind aren't going to have the race pace advantage that they might have worked on a little bit more. Favaro will be pleased on his return to the GTP class as opposed to the GT3 class to be sat on provisional pole as it stands. A lot of yellow sectors out there. Don't know if that's because people are doing warm-up laps or cool-down laps, etc. 2-minute warning now given for GTP cars. So I think this will be the last time round if the session times out at half an hour.
You have to go now, basically. This has to be your lap. If you're the 32 or the 16 or the 67 or the 963, you have to make this count. Presumably they were just on warm-up laps, but these should be the final push laps coming in now.
Sanchez, yellow, but then...
That purple sector isn't doing anything. That's just unfortunate. You get that good time on a lap that's already basically in the bin. It's like, well, I can't do anything with this. But
tell you what, though, his sectors aren't that far off what the pole sitter did through the rest of the lap. In fact, he was quicker in sector 3. I think this could be a good time. Yellow again in the final sector.
It's probably a very good time, but it's not good enough for pole. Like that 46.6. The problem is you need a 46.5.
What is Jan Volmers pulling out of the bag? He's gone yellow, but then purple in the Porsche for teammate of Oyster Hereford running in a different car, but still working together on setup and aero balance perhaps a little bit and what works best, and then adapting it to each of their cars. But yellow, purple. He can find some big improvements here, and even though he was yellow, he was still quicker than what the pole sitter did in sector 1 when he set that fastest lap, and then he matches the pole sitter in sector 4 as well. Jan Volmers could be on for a surprise move to the front row or to pole position here. And
that's another green sector as well. Absolutely flying right now in the Porsche.
Thing looks absolutely planted, and it's stuck to the ground. Uses all of the exit curb. Won't have got the off track though. Nicely on. Checkered flag falls. This will be it for everybody. Jan Volmers is going to take the checkered flag. And is he going to move up onto the front row? He does. 2,000ths.
That is insane. Colombo will come home with 1 minute 50. He'll be plumb last of the field, but Preem improves. But again, no position there either for the 67. They'll run off it in 6th.
Oyster Hereford not on the lap. He needs yellow as it stands. 2 sectors to go, but he'll need to find something really, really magical in this final sector. I wonder if he shifted the balance a little bit to help him out through these final few corners, and maybe he has, because he's gone purple. And they weren't terrible sectors, but I don't think they're going to be good enough for pole position unless he's trimmed off some incredible amounts of downforce. Run now to the line. No, that's not going to be an improvement, even though it was purple.
That's double purples. It's an improvement, but somehow still like 12,000th off pole position. Insanely close to the top of the field.
Half a tenth covers the top 4. Absolutely incredible.
Alex Coop in the 8. Few more meters to go.
Only driver still out on track. Gonna take the checkered. Stays P7. Doesn't improve on his lap time. So Porsche had it in the end with a 1-2 for the manufacturer, but Davide Favaro will start on pole position in his return to the GTP class, and Jan Volmers is going to start alongside him with that absolute stormer of a lap that we saw at the end there. Oyston will be disappointed to only have finished P3, and I think Sanchez will be disappointed with P4 after showing very strong starts for both of them in that session. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's half a tenth of a second that cover the top 4, so going to be an incredibly tight battle. And once
these are oval qualifying splits, or like Martinsville or something stupid like that. But the problem is, this track is like 10 times the size of Martinsville, and we've still got these tiny gaps. It's absolutely wild to me.
Absolutely incredible, especially when you consider that there's 3 different cars in that top 4 as well, so they've all achieved it in a different way to the other. Really, really impressive. So we're going to have a quick break and we're going to show you some of the highlights from round 3, and we'll take you back there quickly.
The green flag flies. We are racing in Interlagos. That is
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Round 3 was wet, wasn't it? I forgot about that momentarily. That was an incredible race. You can catch the full replay on our YouTube page on the Ansel Racing IMSA Series 6 playlist. Sorry. So, Fabio Ponte took pole position in GT3. If you forgot, he took that by 100th of a second from Vincent Ossoms from Trackside Esports, but 07 Esports following up closely in P3. Luigi Nespolino, Daniel Morpete, not far off in P4. Ignis setting an incredible lap time as an AM driver to put him P5 on the grid. Alessandro Izzo P6. Tim Trains, the invitational driver, is qualified in P7 and will start there on the grid. Won't score points, so he can be discounted from the standings in that sense, but he will be racing all of these cars. Matteo Ubatali in P8, Oriol Falk in P9, and Daniel Maggioni in P10. That's your top 10 on the grid. Then we're going to go to Dominic Knockel in P11, Kiko Lakaye P12, Chris Van Stryland in P13, Denzel Deruva in P14, Paolo Antonori P15, and we're going to get down to Adam Jarvis before we get to 1 second off a pole position, around a 2-minute lap time. Absolutely incredible from these drivers. Alvaro Valcarce in P17, Charlie Lord P18, Jose Villarejo in P19, Mateo Lemeroy in P20, and Jesus Savadera, who struggled to match the pace of the guys ahead, in P21. Right, GTP. This will be a little bit quicker, I promise you. So, Davide Favaro qualified on pole. As I'm sure you saw, we had that incredible battle for pole position in GTP class. Jan Volmes came out of nowhere to go P2 2000s off of Davide Favaro's lap time. Oysen Hereford looked strong at the start of the session, but struggled as it went on to quite match the cars ahead. We say that, still only 12 thousandths off of pole position. Sergio Sanchez qualified in P4, about just over 400ths off of pole position. So that top 4 battle is going to be great to watch in the race. Quinton Verdonk and Albert Preem aren't out of that battle either, with the toe in the race. And Alex Kopp, Christoph Steiler and Mohamed Colombo round out your top 9 and your field in the GTP class.
I'm still not over that qualifying, I'm sorry.
It was absolutely incredible.
I'm just hoping we can maintain that gap over a race distance. Let's try and get over the radio about something. Because obviously, like, it's one thing to set qualifying time, And if you can drive that lap time consistently during the race, excellent. But obviously, this is not just a single category race. You've got 21 GT3 cars you've got to drive around. And that's always going to be the difficulty in a series such as this, where even if you have the pace, you have to fight competitive drivers, because there's a lot of fighting that's going to be going on towards the front, well, all over the field in the GT3 category. You need to be able to navigate that safely, while also being able to fight the cars you're trying to race. It is the classic, oh, you got to watch out multi-class thing, because it keeps being true.
Yeah, and with such a long lap as well, we'll see the cars. I think whenever someone sort of breaks a toe, everyone will start to spread out a little bit when they lose a toe. So I imagine the traffic in the second half of the race is going to be pretty relentless. They'll have a little bit of a break at the start of the race once they're going, before they catch the cars ahead. I'm struggling to remember what the pole position time actually was in GTP. Try and find that for you. So they were setting about a 1 minute 46. So let's say they're doing like 150s in the race. I think the GT3s will be about 2 minutes 6 in the race. So it'll take them, they'll be catching them at 20 seconds a lap. So yeah, not going to take them too long to catch him, and then it's going to be pretty non-stop from there. We've seen pretty good behaviour. We had one incident last time out that was reviewed by Race Control, but that was the only multi-class incident I remember for last time round when we were at the Nürburgring, obviously in the Grand Prix layout with these cars. We couldn't do the Nordschleife multi-class with GTPs, although I have tried to convince our race director to let us, because I think it would be absolutely incredible to watch. But you know, it is what it is. Long warm-up lap here for these drivers, so we've got a little bit more time to talk about what's going to happen in the race. But like we said, they're going to catch them pretty quickly, and then it's going to be pretty non-stop. Look at the size of that GT3 field. Not quite sure how many we've got in total, but there is
21.
So 21 cars over a 2 minute lap time. So what's that?
It's honestly, it's not a bad ratio. Like, this is not going to be bad traffic. But like, as is the case in like every single race, the first time through is going to be the hard one, because there's not many places you can really like break away in the GT3 category, which means you're probably going to be fairly tight knit for the first few laps, certainly.
Yeah.
Which means if the GTP field does catch the GT3 field, as you would expect to, you're going to have to fight through the entire field in a bunch, and that is a very risky prospect.
Yeah, and
go through every single GT3 as they're fighting as well on a very high-speed track, but with fairly deep braking zones.
Yeah, and that gap at the that lap time for the GTP is about 1 minute 45, like we said, just over that. But let's say 1 minute 45 for argument's sake, and then they'll probably start about 15-20 seconds ahead of the other cars. So let's say 1 minute 30. They'll have to make up 1 minute 30 on the GT3s to catch him. They're about 20 seconds a lap quicker. So that's what, 90 seconds they're going to have to make up. So it's only going to take them 4 or 5 laps to catch those cars. So those GT3s will still be pretty packed up when we get to them. Two PCF cars running side by side on the warm-up. But our focus is going to be on Davide Favaro, who'll be leading the field away in his first race back in GTP. How's he going to handle that pressure? What's his approach going to be to the start? We've got that massive long straight here. We always see it causing issues in IndyCar when they come here for their race each season. It's always difficult because if you go too early, you're going to give a massive toe to everyone behind. If you wait too long, everyone packs up and you tend to have a couple of incidents. So what's Davide Favaro going to do on the start?
Weirdly enough, for a series that like gets a lot of bad rep for being a little contact heavy, when NASCAR was running here, Turn 1 didn't tend to be too bad. I think towards the end they figured out what was going on there, and then they just stopped coming here. It is a shame. It is a fun track. I do like it a lot, but I think it is best left to the cars with downforce.
Yeah, definitely a downforce circuit as well. You have got those huge long straights, but you've got the big, long, open corner of turn 9 that it's really, really punishing. And Alvaro...
Turn 1 and the kink. You've got a lot of places where you actually downforce does matter a lot because you want to be able to carry speed through those corners because otherwise it's just stop start and you don't have you want to be as high speed as possible.
Yeah, which also makes the toe particularly powerful. You're running a lot of downforce compared to what you might think for the length of some of these straights, and if you're doing that, you're punching an even bigger hole in the air for the car behind. So why the slipstream is so powerful, not just the length of the straights due to the configuration of these cars. So Davide Favaro rounding the final corner now, getting ready to run his start and how he wants to take it.
Volmer's
I think he's gone.
Breathing room here. He's gone. And he just takes the racing line straight away. Everyone tries to get it single file coming into turn 1. They dive in. Not going to be too many opportunities for passing
Oyston
here.
looking for a move further back. No. And they all make it through turn 1 as Quinton Verdonk sticks his nose in but quickly backs out of it. Right, we'll get straight back to this action, but we'll go to the GT3s for the start. That's car 72, Christoph Steiler.
Yeah.
Vincent Ossoms has made a good breakaway on the start here. I think Luigi Nespolini was the pole sitter though. No, I'm not. Sorry, that is incorrect. Vincent Ossoms was the pole sitter. And he's kept that lead into turn 1. Oh, now I'm not sure. We'll clarify that shortly.
Just keeping an eye on all the cars.
Nespolini's struggling though here. Morpy's going for a move around the outside now. And he's going to get freight trained here if he's not careful. Because Ignis is looking to move up onto the overall podium as well. They're all going to follow him through. Nespolini...
You can't go 3 wide here. You have to go 2 by 2 at best.
Nespolini's going to hold on. It looks like Daniel Morpy looking for that move, but the outside line working really well for him there.
Copy, Andy.
Ventresky's trying to pick the inside. Just about holds it together. Well, that's going to get checked up on the exit. So the throws a huge block there.
Contact behind as the car's spinning off. That's Matteo Ubertali.
Oh, more cars. I think there was another car around.
Jose Villarejo off as well. That whole incident has been put under investigation by race control. Alex Kopp has had an incident on lap 1 as well. Let's review what happened here. So I think this is the incident we saw. Oh, and the teammates are going to get together.
No.
But what's happened to Alex Kopp? Because he's a little bit way off the back of the field. Did he slow down? Let his teammate back through? Or has he had another incident further around? Take a look. He had a 2x. Oh, no, he's going to go for a slightly risky move and get on the curb and go for a spin. All right,
just about gets away with it, but
take another look at what happened to Matteo Batali.
So that's Trent's in front. In the yellow car. There's Vitrovsky's throwing the block that checks everybody up, and it just turns down. Like Ubertali's got pinched.
Oh, and the Matteo there that got into the back of, I believe that's Paolo Antonori, who Matteo got into the back of him. They all concertinaed up a little bit. Let's take another look at this incident from his onboard. Like you said, that's Trains in front. Invitational driver. Not involved in the incident, but sort of around it. There's a little bit of a block there thrown by the Ford. He then has to back out of it. And Ubertali's going to go down the inside, but gets pinched. And then we're going to get a great view of what happened ahead. So that was... Oh, no, we're not. Just off view.
No, we're not. We see the result perfectly.
So let's try and take a look.
Oh, car in the wall, Sanchez. The 1, 2, 3. He's driving off. He might have got away with it. I think he may have just got hard on the throttle.
Take a look. What happened?
Oh, contact as well. Emery's hit Savadera, and Savadera's backwards on the exit of turn 7.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened there.
He just drives through the wreckage.
Let's take another look. We could. That's just a random incident that's been grouped in. Apologies. So, side by side there. Matteo's going to get pushed out, and then... Ooh.
Not a great camera angle there, but you can definitely see the contact.
Yeah, let's try and get something else to take a look at it. Oh, we're going to see the same thing again. Really helpful. Apologies, everyone. Let's try again. One more time. Nope. Really helpful. Oh, here we go. So, oh, yeah. Okay, that was the 12 coming speeding into a corner there.
But Lemery was sideways in the middle of the corner. I'm not sure about that, actually.
Let's take one more look. I think Lemery already
the
had
other,
contact. I think maybe a little bit on the way in. Yeah. I think it'll be a racing incident. See what race control think.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment just on that replay, but it's a rough deal.
Back to live images. The Volmers leads by nearly a second. Not sure when he got past Davide Favaro. Let's take a look at that now. Favaro really slow on the exit there. Not quite sure what happened. Let's see if he's
Breezes by.
had a slowdown. Nope, nothing showing in the car log, so just a slow exit. Looks like it's not been shown any flags, so you can see how much that exit really costs you if you don't get it quite right. Has he taken a little bit too much out of the tyres? Because it looks like he's struggling to stay in touch a little bit now, as Oyston is now going to be on the attack.
You can see the train though. You need to be in this tow if you want to be competitive towards the end. The position is nice, but as long as you're within this group, you'll at least get enough of a tow where the gap won't go too far away from you. You can at least maintain and fight later in the race. If you're outside of this, I hate to call it a race over already. However, you've got very much an uphill battle in front of you. So a word on strategy while we have a bit of downtime to work in. Obviously, we run the reduced fuel tanks here in the Anti-Stall League, which just means you get a lot more option for strategy. Usually you estimate at 2 stops. Most drivers on smaller tracks will come in about the 25-minute mark and just before the 50-minute mark. That just is where it works out in terms of where your fuel tank goes out, so optimal strategy. Given how big this track is, you might see some cars coming early just to make sure they have it towards the end, because you are on the throttle for a lot of this race. You can get some lift and coast in, and it can be helpful to get an extra lap in, but there is no way around it. You're going to be burning a lot of fuel here, so expect cars to maybe come, I'd say the 22 and 45-minute marks, just off the top of my head. I certainly would not expect a one-stop around here.
Davide closing that gap a little bit last time round, so he's looking to try and make up a little bit more room.
They are gaining on the back markers of the GT3 category as well.
Yeah, only a couple of corners away now from the GT3s, so we're going to get some more action.
You might be able to see Vitali in the shot here. With pans up, it does not pan up enough. But they are danger close. Vitali, they've just fallen off the pace a little bit from the pack.
There you go.
You can see him there, just off the corner. But he's the first sign of the apocalypse, if you like. Because they are going to be fighting.
Whoa, he's off ahead, and the leader and P2 both have to take avoiding action. What happened there? Was there contact, perhaps? Let's take a look at what happened to Matteo in that corner. Lost it all on his own, and the leader takes avoiding action. And P2 lost out a lot there. He had to get on the brakes, and that has allowed Oyston Hereford to take the second place on the podium away from Davide Favaro, who'll be looking to fight back quickly. But there's racing ahead of these two, and contact ahead, I think, between Charlie Lord as the leader gets through safely. Oyston slots through now, but this is going to cost Davide. He's stuck behind these two. Can he get a good exit? It looks like he's managed to have a decent run out of the corner.
Out of the toe, so he's going to the gap might come up a bit, but then again, there's still a lot more GT3s that to come through, so certainly not out of this yet.
Apologies that we're losing a little bit of frames here, trying to fix it. We're back.
Oh.
Drops a wheel there. That's Adam Jarvis. Albert Preem looking for a move here. What's Albert going to do in the traffic? Takes avoiding action as Quinton Verdonk flashes his lights at the GT3s. Albert's going to get pinned in here. The Porsche head is going to have an incident. Surely, no, he avoids it. Albert comes back on. Now, settles back up. Davide Favaro looking for a move ahead as well. Davide Favaro trying to get back into P2, and so he can fight for the lead again as the Porsche blinks out of existence. Davide Favaro tries to squeeze down the inside, uses the traffic to his advantage. Surely no, and Oyston gets back ahead. It's not over yet though. Davide needs to focus on the exit here, and he's going to be on the grass. Oh, yes, he's in the wall, back across the track. Big incident for Davide Favaro. That's going to be race over for him. Is race control going to call the caution? No, because he's off the track. Safely spins it around. He's going to try and get it back to the pit lane to use his fast repair. But big incident there for Davide Favaro. Let's see if we can get a quick replay of it. Looks like he's just going to get out on the dirt, I think, a little bit, trying to maximize the exit here and follow through, and that's not going to happen. In fact, he went off before he was squeezed off, really. And it bounces into the wall.
Section. He got the inside of turn 8. Like, he was just pushing as hard as he could, trying to make the position back. Obviously, just pushing not too hard, comes back to bite him, and yeah, as you said, race over.
Let's go back to live images, because it's not all over yet at the front of his field. I can tell you that much. Davide Favaro jumped back to the pits. That means he got out of the car, so he's going to have to take a tow time. That's going to be really costly for him. That's going to be race over. He'll struggle to stay on the lead lap now, you'd have to say. So all calmed down a bit in GTP. They've all spread out a little bit more. Jan Volmer's now in the lead, and that's really, really unfortunate for Davide Favaro. He wanted to get back in the lead after losing out after being on pole.
These GT3s are getting vicious, though. Colombo's just going to get stuck by the traffic because they are fighting hell for leather. And I don't want to be next to them either. I'm going to be honest.
Can Patrol please check my accident?
Albert Preem asking for an incident to be reviewed. Not sure what happened there. We haven't seen that one. Let's see if we can.
Colombo just got tagged in the rear.
Try and
couldn't get it moving on exit.
Right, well, I think I found Albert Preem's incident. Oh. Oh, no.
Yeah, we're looking.
Oh, you can't be doing that.
The GT3 runs straight into the back of Albert Preem. He will not be happy about what happened there. That'll go to review from Race Control. You could hear him on the radio. You could hear Race Control's response that they're already looking at it. It's really difficult here, really high-speed section of a track, really, really difficult to get back on track safely, but Albert Preem is back going again. Davide Favaro is out of the car. He won't be rejoining as it stands. Luigi Nespolini is right on the back of Vincent Ossoms for the race lead here, but that's not the battle that we want to follow. Kiko Lakaye in the pro class is in this really tight pack here. It's been separated out a little bit by one of the GTPs making his way through, but Kiko Lakaye and just sort of running at the back as it stands of the pro drivers that haven't had any incidents. Daniel Maggioni just ahead of him, but AM drivers still right in this. An incident being investigated. I believe that's for car number 321, so that's Oriel Falk, I believe. Not sure what happened there. Let's take a look. That's his incident. Oriel Falk was the car that ran into the back. So that'll be reviewed by Race Control. It's a really difficult one there because the GTP kind of comes across to slot on back onto the racing line. So we'll let the experts in Race Control, who've got some more camera angles than we do, take a look at that and try and work out what happened with 15 minutes. Well, not even that. 13, nearly 14 minutes into this race. We've already had a lot of action. And what did we say on the warm-up lap? The traffic is going to be a nightmare, and it has been a nightmare so far.
And these GT3s are struggling to separate from each other. You can see just a whole bunch of packs across the track map right now.
Colombo slots his way in between P1 and P2 and separates that gap a little bit. So Vincent Ossoms will be grateful for that breathing room.
But like they'll just reform again. That's the power of the toe in the GT3, so that you can just get these gaps going back and forth. And granted, it's not going to be just the constant chain of GT3s you had at the start of this race, but you're just going to end up in a situation where it's just you constantly have to fight your way through groups of GT3 cars, and that's when accidents happen.
I mean, this is Denzel, and he's pulled away a little bit from Daniel Maggioni behind, but Daniel Maggioni backwards. Look, they're all within a couple of tenths of each other, really, and that's not going to change from what we've seen so far. So the GTPs are just going to get right up to the back of these guys again. I can tell you right now, car number 32 is already halfway around the lap compared to these guys. Albert Preem's had a little bit of a spin, I believe. Yeah, let's just take a quick look at what happened there. So clearly pushing to try and make up as much ground as he can. Just loses the rear end a little bit, but keeps it pointed in a straight line. So much better outcome than if he'd spun. So held it really well there.
So like two ways that ends up is that you either end up in the barrier facing the wall or just in the gravel and just feeling a bit bad about yourself. And he chose the lesser of the two evils there.
Daniel Maggioni,
Keeps
first of the GT3s to pit. So fueled up a little bit less maybe to come in for an earlier pit stop and get himself off cycle, which considering the chaos we've seen in the pack isn't a bad idea. The only downside is you're not going to be in that tow anymore, and how much time is that going to cost you?
I think it's going to be quite significant. I'm not sure the strategy is going to work out because he has to take essentially two full tanks of fuel to make it to the end here. You can't short stop at any point, so it's going to be really rough for his pit timings to come through. I think there might be something else. He's got a problem with the car perhaps, and he decides, okay, I might as well pit to get the repairs taken.
Christian Stryland has moved ahead of Adam Jarvis for P4 in class. Let's take a look how he did this. That massive tow into turn one, surely. Just get your nose in on the inside, and it's kind of hard for the car on the outside to fight it. And that's exactly what he did. Even though Adam was quicker through the corner, there's nowhere for him to go. He's got to fight back into turn three, actually, but not particularly easy to do.
Not much of a fight.
That's the last of the action we'll see between these two drivers. So they're in that tight pack in GT3 AM as it stands. Tim Trains, the invitational driver, right on the back of Dominic Knockel, looking to make a move. He has been warned that he needs to behave when he's not fighting the championship for points, and he's going to do that. Shows his nose, but not particularly sendy from perhaps what we might have seen for two drivers fighting for the championship.
No, I like this. You can just back it off a little bit here. You have a much better overtaking opportunity coming up next quarter, as long as you can just maintain this good enough exit. Get it straightened out.
He's going to do that. Look at that. You can see the gap closing.
Pulling the second car. So you might have a good burst tow, but so does the car you're trying to chase him. You can see there's not much of a difference pulling up here, so might just have to stay in 6th place for now.
He looks like he's struggling on the straight a little bit. Sitting right up under braking, as you would expect with the compression, obviously. Now, through that turn that is turn 2, and then into turn 3. And this is perhaps a better opportunity for him. Not quite the exit he would have needed.
What I'm thinking is if Tim's struggling to catch up on the straights, he might be just on a higher downforce setup, which would actually make the kink into Canada a better overtaking opportunity for him. It's a lot easier for him to carry speed through that section. You can see how close he was on the previous lap. So I think there might be something there for Tim. Chase through. See what he actually does here in the carousel, because that'll be a good indication of what the car's actually set up to do. Closes a lot on entry. Loses a little bit on exit, but still gains massively overall. I would say that's a downforce setup car, or at least certainly more than Knuckle. So he's going to be struggling a bit more on the straights, but again, that can be offset with the drag, which he's getting a perfect position to get here. Even if he's not getting position, he's going to be able to just get better lap times overall.
instant into the kink between Albert Preem and I can't remember who the GT3 was. It's just been declared a racing incident. So no further action on that one.
The race might have quieted down. I think the pit window will be open this lap, maybe next lap for all of these drivers now. Yeah, obviously, you're still on a big fuel run. But if you can extend, you can get just a slightly shorter pit stop on the final one when you top off on fuel. That's where you can make a lot of time. I think that was Colombo exiting the pits there for a pit stop.
And Morphy looking for a move. He's very close here. He'll be getting a nice tow here. His teammate currently leading in the other car.
I like his setup for turn 5 a lot more than car is chasing, but fortunately there's no real way through at this point. There's a car in front of you, have to be fast enough to actually make the move and make it stick.
Right on the back of him.
Very hard to get that overlap.
Pushing him through. This is a difficulty for the cars that have put on a little bit more downforce. They're sort of trapped now. They're quicker overall around the lap, it seems, but unable to make the moves. Chris Van Stryland in the AM class now all over the back of Alvaro Valcarce as they try to move up one more position.
It does feel like the race is quieting down a bit, but the hypercar lead is currently catching onto the back of, I think, this group of GT3s.
Train's best overtaking opportunity does seem to be into Canada corner, probably because he's able to send it a little bit more than the car ahead is through the kink and carry a little bit more speed and hit better velocity going into the corner. But are they all coming into the pits now? Looks like they are.
Yes.
So this could be an opportunity as well. There's a lot of ground to be gained in the pits, in the pit entry. Look at that. And Tim does that, uses the pit entry line to his advantage, carries as much speed as late as he can. And now we're going to see, not often we follow a battle in the pits, but I think this is worth watching because this could unleash Tim to move ahead.
A lot of GT3s have pitted as well. I think there's 4 cars that stayed out right now.
That is our pit lane cam. That's not particularly helpful right now.
No, apologies. Chris from Stryland had the pit lane start. That's showing as a pit stop for me. So there's 5 cars that stayed out.
You can see Tim there. You can see...
Oh, and the hypercars are coming in as well.
This is always a recipe for something interesting to happen. Well, either Tim lost out a lot. Tim lost out a lot there. Also in a pit stop. Maybe he's taken tyres. Maybe he's taken tyres. I'll give you that information. So he was stopped for 22 seconds. And I can't remember who it was chasing now. It was Oriol. No. Who was it?
It was a Knuckle.
Was it Knuckle? Yeah, Knuckle was stopped for 18.3 seconds. So yeah, big difference in stop time there. 5 seconds. Nearly.
I don't know if that's tyres. It might be. I need to actually learn some GT3 pit stop numbers. So what I'm figuring out here. Because what I'm thinking is, it could be like Tim's taken some fronts, which would be very good for him on this track. He could also have taken more fuel, and he's going to try and extend this second stint and take a really short stop on his last one.
Yeah, it could be that. Could be either of those things. Could be maybe just one front tyre if he's working perhaps the front left a little bit more. Maybe just give him a little bit more grip around some of the high-speed corners because you are leaning on it a lot around here. But right now, he's got the battle with Daniel Maggioni behind more than the car in front.
And because of because the GT3's, GTP's, excuse me, oh, contact! Villarejo is just wiped out. I believe that's Ubertali. I'm not sure what happened. I just saw the result of it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, tank slapper.
So unfortunate for Matteo Ubertali. 2 incidents that weren't really his fault in this race.
That is just such a sad ending for Ubertali.
Oyston's not going to give up this win, is he? The GT3 flashing his lights, clearly unhappy with Oyston trying to make his way through, but he was only half a second back at the start of his lap, and he's now 1.5, so he's clearly lost out somewhere on this lap, so clearly in a rush.
Come in.
He's past that pack that we said would be a problem, and it seems it has been.
He's past the first part of the pack. There's still more GT3s to come. And some of them are even next in pit lane right now. He's just about cleared those ones, fortunately, but... a knuckle deep in the grass. No contact, but he has taken the toe. Not sure what's happened there. Surfield just cleaning through the GT3 field. Does not want to waste any more time trying to catch back up to the leader here. Volmers, who has pulled away, 2.5 gap currently, and looking to build a few more GT3s for both of them to come through still. But so far, everyone minding their P's and Q's.
He's just full of issues with the timing board there. Oyston making his way through there, and oh, Jan Volmers held up a little bit there on the exit as Vincerevskis looks to secure that position. Adam Jarvis has done a pretty good job. He's closed that gap now to 8 seconds. Oh, and that's Ignis getting a little bit pushed out there.
If you're subscribing to the classic iRacing mentality of if gap car,
Izzo looking...
he has managed to at least maintain the gap to the Volmers.
Denzel looking for a move here into Canada corner. He's really close. Great exit. Can he show his nose? It's difficult. He's quite far back.
But dive and a half if he makes it.
He shows his nose, tries to scare the car in front off the road. We saw that work for a couple of drivers last week out at the Nürburgring. This pack had been really tightly packed up for a while now. So it looks like Chris Van Stuylen maybe a little bit, I was going to say a little bit of a stop in the bottle, but actually he was behind some of these cars before, so they are still moving forwards, I think. GTP tries to make his way through further back.
Volmers had the gap slashed in half. We can come back to that, but that is remarkable.
I believe if it's not just pit, so just a slightly slower lap.
Not a great place to have a GT3.
Oh, and that's really going to hurt Hereford. Hereford makes his way around that car, but that's going to cost him a little bit. But it looks like Jan Volmers isn't having much more look ahead, to be totally honest.
Traffic giveth, traffic taketh away.
Vincent Ossoms, the leader in GT3 Pro.
Carousel.
Denzel really close now, within a 10th.
Oh, that's
very
contact.
close.
That's a bump and run.
That was inevitable. Let's have a look what happened there. Look. Oh yeah, into the back of him. Looks like there was a little bit of silly happenings going into the corner. Let's take one more look at it. I think there was some silliness going on into the corner.
It just looks like Denzel's expecting... No, why is he in the middle of the track then? Shryland, I'm not sure. Like I said, I need Denzel's on board to like really have an understanding what's going on. That's a very wide move for Deruva. He's got a hypercar in his inside, so I can't really blame him. But he looks like he might get dived here.
He's going to have to try and make it with that damage to the pit stop window, otherwise it's going to be race over. If he can keep his cars behind, he'll be in a great position. Let's just take one more look from Denzel's onboard. Oh, I think that was a little bit silly from Chris there.
Yeah, he offsets his braking point. I think Deruva could make the corner on his move, but like that is...
It's a little bit further back, so Chris blocks to the outside and then comes back onto the racing line, I think.
You're allowed to do that, but you have to be aware that your braking capacity is going to be greatly reduced if you do that. And I don't know if Deruva had the time to really react.
Yeah, I'd say yes, and also was that maybe moving in the braking zone as well as just moving back to the racing line. But Daruva's going to get freight trained here, it looks like. This is a left-hander coming up. So, oh, I say that completely in the wrong bit of a track. It will be in a second. Ooh, nearly both off there. So Daruva trying to carry on with this damage and make it to the pit window where he can use his fast repair to get that bumper repaired, but really missing that front splitter at the moment, costing him a lot of downforce. See Charlie Lord looking for the move now.
Well, the problem is, even if he's missing that front split, Daruva's still a really good driver. So on these this infield section, you're really going to struggle. You have to be like significantly faster to make a move on this track. The only place you can really guarantee that overlap is if you make a dive bomb, because on this infield section, Daruva's perfectly good at braking as late as he needs to, and you're not going to really just force your way through. So Lord's going to fall back a bit here, just being stuck behind the damaged car of Daruva.
Lord losing a lot of time. Well, I say a lot of time, but Denzel Daruva still has the tow from Alvaro just up ahead, and he's going to go wide. And this is a good time to check the instant points. Denzel's on 14x at the moment. Once he reaches 18, that'll be a drive-through, so he doesn't want to use them up here. And Charlie Lord carefully and cleverly uses the GTP to slot through, and he's just about ahead and makes that certain in the next braking zone.
Gets his elbows out there. I think just a slight bit of contact just forced Denzel a little bit wider than he was comfortable with. But he definitely takes the position. Definitely needed to as well, to be fair to him. He needs to like catch back up. So you can see Valcars just pulling away.
So I think in about 5 minutes time, Denzel will be able to pit and make it to the end.
I would agree with that, yeah.
On a full tank. It'll be a long stop. Well, I say that, it won't be any longer than it would be normally. But
you'd need to like get it full of fuel, so but I guess you're already taking some amount of fuel anyway. So
the car's pretty much full already, I guess, isn't it? So yeah.
And you'd have fuel in the tank that you weren't burning off.
But
anyway, so it probably works out.
He's not going to be in this pack anymore, and that's going to cost him a lot of time. Hopefully he can slot back in somewhere else where he'll maybe have a tow. But that's going to be really difficult running in the AM class. So he'd be slotting back in with potentially the pros. That's going to be difficult as well. So the highest pro car, Vincent Ossam's car number 73. Not that you can see that on your screen at the moment, but he is currently just going through the kink. So not actually that far ahead of these guys. Saying that, looking at the wrong person on the track map, he is fairly far ahead.
Oh, Styler in the gravel, deep send off the carousel. Looks like he's going to be okay. Just a skill issue. Presumably to at least recover the car.
Oh, trying to go around the outside. That's always going to be difficult.
The grip he has in the front, and he just can't get it turned.
About halfway through this race, 27 minutes to go. Thereabouts, in about 10 seconds, there'll be 27 minutes to go. So, still plenty of action and plenty of storylines to play out. It's sort of in that calm down period at the moment, but as we saw last week out, it'll start to hot up again a little bit after that final set of pit stops, and everyone knows where they stand and what the true objective is for them in this race. A couple of comments saying that was moving in the braking with that incident that involved Chris Van Stylen and Denzel, but we'll leave that to the stewards to decide. He's under investigation. Yeah, that Porsche does need to pit, but he's going to make it to the end first. That's going to be the most difficult thing. You know, if he pits now for the repairs, it's going to cost him a lot more time. Right now, he's not actually losing that much time to the cars in front.
It's not massive damage, but it is definitely there. So he needs to get rid of it, but maybe it's just fine that he can, as long as he's able to stay close enough that he's able to get something of a tow, it might be fine in the long run. It's hard to tell.
To be honest, if I was him, as long as I can say within sort of a couple of seconds, I'd stay out, but you can see he's clearly struggling. Sort of swings and roundabouts at the moment. He keeps going back one way, back the other way, but overall he's definitely losing pace. In the Daytona 24-hour though last year, I know in the GTP we ran a whole stint without a front bumper, without pretty much any performance loss. So you definitely can stick it out. It's just is that you're perhaps losing a little bit of predictability in the car as well, which is really, really needed around here.
So Awesome still leads the GT3 field. He's on his own. Nispolino trying to chase that down more. Pete again in third, and there's still massive gaps between them.
Trains is slowly catching back up to the back of Oriol Falk, who pits. So pitting to go to the end there, Oriol Falk. Some Trains came out about 4.5 seconds after that first lap behind, so looks like he maybe did take new tyres and that's allowed him to push on a little bit. His next target is going to be Ignis, who leads the AM class at the moment, but is ahead of a couple of pro drivers, including him in the invitational entry. Braking now into turn 3, you can see the car ahead, always helps. At least I find it does, to have a target physically in front of you on the road where you can see where you're gaining, where you're losing, where you need to improve a little bit. That'll help him a lot. Oyston's not giving up the battle for the lead. Back within a second out front. Lost a little bit of time last time round. Not sure where they're running in terms of traffic at the moment.
No, they've got a bit of clean space to work in, but they're gaining on the back of... They'll be on the back of Daruva very shortly, so... See if they're able to just clear through the small groups. There's a lot more fanned out, the GT3 field now. It's calmed down a bit. They've all found a bit of space to work in, so it should be fairly easy to get through them. We're also awaiting the final stop, so you might just be able to pass a few of them through the pit lane, which is going to help your pace a lot more if you can pass cars without having to go offline or dive corners or something stupid like that. So maybe trying to just go along here and just get the overcut on them could work out for the GTPs. They did come about the same time last pit cycle, and the window is opening. I'd still expect cars to go long here. Oh, and you called it. That is a moving under blocking penalty. Oh, that is double jeopardy.
Denzel Daruva, 10-second time penalty for causing a collision, but Chris Van Strylen was given a drive-through for moving under braking. So race control clearly thinking both of them have some blame to lie with them.
No, I fully agree with that assessment from race control, honestly. Like, as much as I appreciate the moving under braking, I did feel like Denzel was a little hot coming into that, so I'm not sure what's happening with him, but yeah, fair call on the moving under braking.
Oyston really close here. Pulls out of the toe of the GT3. Gonna have a pretty good, well, not a good run on his teammate, but closes up a little bit more, closer than he was last time round. The Acura may be going to work a little bit better in some of these corners, but he is in that dirty air as well, which helps him on the straights, but it's going to hamper him through the corners.
Okay, a fairly close battle between Adam Jarvis and Kiko Lakala. Front here. Two cars coming into turn 5. It's a clean dive from Volmers, and Tevye is not going to get that opportunity. He's going to be stuck in the slow section of the track trying to make these passes.
Everyone, a quick update. Oriol Falk is 2 incident points away from a drive-through penalty. Jesus Savadera is only 3 points away. Matteo Ubertali, who's out of the race, of course, was 3 points away when he retired from the race. Denzel Daruva also on 15, so only 3 points away from a drive-through, which means any contact that will obviously result in a 4X will send him through the pit lane, and only got 2 jokers left to use if he wants to use them on off tracks as well. So that'll play in the mind of some of these drivers. We've seen it happen on the last lap before, and race control won't remove them. That instant limit is there for a reason. Kiko Lakaya here still looking to move past Adam Jarvis in the AM class.
It's just too much of a gap, though. You need to really close up into Canada or into turn 1 if you want to make a move and make it stick.
You've almost got to
Right now,
have an
just struggling to
incredible
get that.
sector yourself and hope that the car in front has a suboptimal sector to have any chance of getting past. Vito, not quite as powerful as we maybe thought it would be.
Maggioni has pitted.
Sergio Sanchez Cifiero tries to make his way back towards the podium. Obviously had that moment earlier on in the race. They're only 3.5 seconds off of those guys up front. Oh, and that's a small moment there for Adam Jarvis on the dirt. And Kiko not able to capitalise on it. Can he do so here?
If you're just dumping a tyre off, it's normally fine. As long as you're able to just maintain most of the speed. It's not a great run into turn 3, unfortunately. Still, the car gaining a bit of speed, might have a chance to make a dive here. He's braver on the brakes, but just chooses to stay behind for now. They both still need to make another pit stop, so this might just be a case of the car going, okay, I'm just going to save a bit of fuel here. Bit of lift and coast. Keep it in check and just try and get you on the pit cycle instead.
Couple more pit stops further back. Daniel Maggioni in the pits in the GT3 Pro class. Oriol Fox obviously already pitted. Matteo has pitted, and Jesus Savadera pitted for a second time as well. Denzel Deruva quickly bringing out the yellow flag. Nothing showing up on the standings. I believe this is what caused it. I think it's just going to be running a little bit wide, and it is, but carries on. But that's another joker used up. He's now on 16. One more before it's going to really hurt his race.
That is the least yellow flag I've seen in my life. That was just a car going slightly wide.
Luigi Nespolini and Daniel Morphy in from out front, so they're going to try and undercut Vincent Ossums. Are they going to take tyres? That's a big question at the end of this race. Are tyres really struggling? In fact, what we should have been paying attention for last time round was who got jacked up, because that'll tell us who's going to take tyres. Who of these guys going to get lifted up? Yes, they do.
Ooh.
Morphy taking tyres, Nespolini not taking tyres. That's going to play out towards the end of this race. Let's see, they pulled in.
Pit differences though.
Pulled in at a fairly similar time, and Nespolini's on his way, and Morphy's on his way too. So perhaps only taking one tyre to make sure he doesn't lose too much time, but that was a smart move if he's able to do that without really losing any time. It looks like he might have been Denzel moves ahead of these guys, but obviously because he's not pitted yet. Charlie Lord really close to Alvaro, trying to make a move for P2 in that class as it stands, obviously because Adam Jarvis is now pitted.
I will say that taking one tyre can be a scary call to make, because it obviously swings the balance of the car drastically, and you've now got this one fresh tyre, presumably the front left. It's going to behave massively differently to how the car was, one, handling before, two, as the start of the race, because the rest of your tyres just aren't going to be up to the same level of grip, so it might work out. It's a very scary call to make, I will say that for certain. There's a few cars still on track. There's technically a fight for P3 overall between Vincherevskis and Triennes, but obviously they still need to pit.
Morphy right on the back of Nespolini. Get that up for you. Vincent Ossum's now in the pit lane. So incredibly long pit lane here. It can feel so tedious when you're driving down it. In fact, some series use a two-stage pit lane, but not in iRacing. Only pulling into his box now. Let's throw up the track map quickly with initials on there. See if we can work out who he's fighting. So he's fighting Daniel Morphy and Luigi Nespolini. See if we can spot them on there. We can't, unfortunately. Vincent Ossums is stopped. And Daniel Luigi Nespolini, sorry, he's in the
definitely get some tyres put on it.
Final corner. So this is going to be interesting here. Pulling out now. Nespolini is just making his way up to the start finish line. Vincent Ossums is going to stay ahead, it looks like, but Nespolini will have some tyre temp, and Charlie Lord is going to get in front, and that could really help the cars behind as Charlie sends it to get past, but goes on the grass.
That was a deep dive by Lord. I'm surprised he held it as close as he did. He was quite a bit off the apex, trying to get that position, but not quite able to make that move stick. Not that it matters, because that Ford needs to come to pit lane anyway. But I respect the attempt there from Lord. That was an excellent try.
Orpy's all over the back of Nespolini here. But like we said, the GT3 is struggling to make moves in the braking zones. They have all got ABS, so you can just sort of get on the anchors, and it's hard to make a move on the brakes. The leaders into the pits, but Oyston stays out one more lap compared to Jan Volmers.
Seeing what that blend ends up being though. Because obviously you go one lap longer, you need one lap less fuel in the car, which means you can spend one lap's worth of fuel less in pit lane. Whatever that ends up being in terms of actual numbers.
Yeah, we've seen that win the race for Adam Jarvis on a couple of
deep.
occasions.
He just absolutely sending it through the kink there, gets completely off the track, somehow manages to keep the gap fairly close, but absolutely sending it there. Obviously, like when you're chasing a car, you get that reduced downforce. And especially through a corner like the kink, it's very easy to offset where you think you'll end up, and you just go flying through that corner.
Oriel Falk, Denzel Deruva, both on 17 incident points, so no more jokers for them. It'll be a penalty when something goes wrong. And Charlie Lord is now in the pit lane, so clears the road for the cars ahead. Tim Trains has got ahead of Oriel Falk in the most recent pit lane exchange.
It's like riding the bumper of Vincherevsky's right now.
I think he's shaping up for a move here. Porsche v Porsche, no real straight line advantage apart from what's in the setup. Trains really is looking for the move here. Drops back a little bit.
I think he's going to play this one slow.
Needs to play it safe as the invitational driver. Doesn't want to mess up anyone's championship battles.
And here comes GTP.
That's going to close him right up again in the braking zone. He's pushing him. He's pushing him. They're going to be really close here.
It's a case of listen. I know I'm not supposed to be racing you too hard, but I definitely have the pace.
Trains looking to make the move here. Surely he's going to pop out, and I think he's going to go for it into the braking zone. And he is alongside. Gives himself lots of room to play with. They do bump a little bit on the exit of the corner. Trains has the inside for the next corner. Through turn 6 they go, and he's now ahead. Ignis didn't want to fight that one too much anyway. He's leading Am by 10 seconds right now. But now only 2 cars between himself and Adam Jarvis.
Corner exit. I don't know what that was.
Incredible racing from the two of them.
But yeah, that'll free up the 77. Just a clean run in front of him now, and it looks like he has the pace. Maybe not, again, I think he might be less trimmed out than some of the other cars, but that downforce is certainly going to help through the infield, and you can see the amount of space he's already put there. He was definitely holding back.
Yeah, 20 seconds down off the guys in front, so he'll want to see how much he can close that down. He'll also be fighting Kiko, I think, once Kiko comes into the pit lane, which he is now. Alvaro really close to Charlie Lord back as well. Can he make a move into Canada corner?
It would be a bit of a dive from this far back, I think, but show the nose, getting your opponent's head a little bit. The problem is showing nose that is it does upset your braking coming through Canada, and you obviously Canada's one of those fairly fast wide corners where you want to be carrying speed, even if you do get checked up a little bit.
Lord has to play it a little bit defensive. What are pit stop times last time round? Alvaro spent a couple more seconds in the pit lane. I wonder if he changed an extra tyre. Oriel Falk right on the back of Kiko Lakai after that pit stop exchange as well.
He's just not able to get the move done. He's just stuck in this perpetual
Yeah,
case of might be a bit of an overlap, but you really need to be careful making a scent here. Oh, that looked like a very good exit for Lacoste though.
Tim pulled out 3 seconds in the last lap on the car he was racing. So you do need a big pace advantage to make that move. For GTP might kind of gotten in the way here. But Alvaro's going to follow the GT3 through round the outside of Charlie Lord. But on the grass and nearly loses it. Showing how difficult it can be to overtake around here in the GT3. That was,
it was
close
a
racing.
Try by Valcast, but you just need the inside line just to make sure you can just pull ahead like that. I love the attempt. It's a plenty wide corner. You can try and make that move work, but just down a little bit of grip where you needed it. You're not able to pull the throttle down.
Yeah, Lord showing some smart defensive moves there. Daniel Morphy looking for the move on Luigi Nespolini as well. Morphy who took tyres, Nespolini who didn't. Is this the tyre advantage coming into play in the final 10 minutes of this race?
We're not going to see it on the straight. We'll see it on this infield section, so...
Morphy wants to clear him. Use that tyre advantage to close down Awesome's his teammate ahead. Oh, he's really close here, I think.
If I'm Morphy in this situation, I'm definitely showing the nose. I don't think I can maybe make the move, but I'm definitely going, hey, I'm here.
Oh, he's going to have a look. No, he doesn't.
Oh,
Thinks the better of it.
He thought.
He's really looking for an opportunity there as Nespolini dips a wheel. Oriol Falk and Kiko Lakaye are battling close behind. These two fighting it out as we were watching the cars ahead of them. But Oriol Falk trying to keep it around the outside. There's going to be the inside going into the next corner. Lakaye trying to make the move. And they're battling close in the braking zone as well. Lakaye keeps it pinned in, but unable to make the move. So nice move there from Oriol Falk, but it's not over yet, is it? Because Kiko Lakaye's going to have a look. They're both braking so close to contact there. I think the move is decided for now. Great driving from both drivers there to keep that clean. And it's a move up to P5 for Oriol Falk.
Yeah, I just feel like the car just didn't get deep enough on the entry at 5 there to really pin Falk down to the apex. I mean, Falk could just clean back up the track again. Once he made it through the corner, it's just a very easy pass to make from there. And like at that point, there's not really, you don't have enough of a run to build an overlap into turn 6. It's just done from there.
Keep your eye on the gap for the lead overall. It currently stands as 6 seconds, but last time round Oystein Hereford was 1.5 seconds quicker than his teammate. He also spent 4 seconds longer in his box. I think he took tyres, and we're seeing that advantage play out now. So let's manage that gap. 6 seconds apart at the moment, so nothing really to watch, but that's going to be close going on. Daniel Morphy really close into turn 1, but he'll need a mistake, I think, from the car ahead, which he nearly had a couple of laps ago.
Looking very close still through turn 3. Potential. That's a lot of dust that got kicked up from the car in front. Nespolino might be in trouble here. Waiting as late as possible to show the bumper. Doesn't do it. Stays behind again.
Black flag for Oriol Falk after that battle, but that's a black flag for incident point limit, so that's going to cost him that position he's just fought so hardly for. That's a drive-through penalty. That's going to drop him to the back of the pack. He will still score, but he'll score as last of the running cars. So that's going to cost him a lot right now as well. Denzel Deruva still sat on 17. He's going to have to play it really safe here to make sure he doesn't get caught out by that. Mohamed Colombo is in the pits for a black flag as well. Alvaro going to make a move here on Charlie down into the braking zone. Charlie trying to keep the podium as it stands, but Alvaro is going to go round the outside. And is that move done? Really, really well put together there.
As soon as you get clear on entry, you just pull across, take the apex away, and at that point you have the racing line, you have everything you need. Lord is going to do his best to stay in the tow, but we've seen how easy it is for cars to pull away once they make these extended passes. So I think Lord might just be himself fourth place here.
The leader's fairly similar lap times last time round, so perhaps Oyster not got quite the tyre advantage we thought he might. And the Morphy dropping back a little bit from the car in front this lap.
Yeah,
by a
I
couple
think
of times.
Morphy might have just cooked his stuff a little bit. Obviously, when you're running that close to a car for a while, you can get a lot of heat in the tyres. And if they're on a long run such as this, it can just really make those fronts very uncomfortable to drive on. So he might be backing off, trying to get a little bit of temp down. Try to set up for a move later, perhaps, but we'll see what happens.
Oriel pits to serve that drive-through penalty. Long pit lane here, really, really costly. There's a track you're going to do it at. You'd rather it not be this one.
Like, the pit entry is just, like, about halfway between, like, turn 14 and the start-finish line, maybe. But
Yeah,
it's just such a long run and such a long pit lane, and the exit basically dumps you into turn 1.
Yeah, and the pit entry is probably the harshest actual braking zone on this calendar, on this track in terms of deceleration. Because you've got to go so slow through the pit lane, and really, really difficult. Really, you have to be really focused to not get a lock up into there and get yourself a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Charlie Lord isn't going to give up this battle though, but it kind of looks like Alvaro's sort of slowly pulling away. That's Denzel with his repaired car closing in behind as well.
Car repaired, penalty presumably served as well, so that will be for position if Daruva gets there.
Oh, of course, he has a 10-second time penalty. Now that'll be added on post-race.
I thought they'd serve it in the pit. Never mind, this spot fight is for nothing.
5 minutes ago, couple of laps, you would imagine. That gap at the front has come down now. 2.2 seconds. Oyston is on a charge. Last time round, oh, that's a mistake, I think, for Jan Volmers, who lost 2 seconds to what he did the previous time, just in the middle sector. Have they caught the traffic again, perhaps?
They have come through GT3s at this point.
Another GT3 coming up ahead. I think he had. He caught that Morphy Nespolini battle on the podium of Pro.
Wrong time on place then perhaps, but still a shootout towards the end of this race for the overall win. Less than 5 minutes to go. Potentially this lap, then one more, I believe. So you cannot forget how much less GT3, figure out which way he's going. Apart by catching that car on exit turn 6, because they're going to pull to the left hand side at some point. It's a question of when, and do you stick your nose in there first? Gap 2.6 seconds. So Donk also holding a bit further back, but still looking fairly competitive.
Gap stabilised a little bit on this lap. Straight fight to the end now, though. No traffic for quite a while, I think. Yeah, next
And
car
we
is
are
72, which is a GCP that they will be lapping. Next
Oh,
GT.
can we get Cameron Volmers here? Volmers is across the line.
Oh, sorry,
now
just missed
with
that.
Just shy under 2 minutes to go. I think he's got it in there quickly enough that we might actually have 2 laps to go here.
Yeah, no
like
white
44.
flag showing up on the race log for his car.
So this is going to be on the long side of a race, and what I'm worried about now is we had an issue in Fuji last season, was it?
With fuel.
Where people underfueled the car, thinking the race was going to go 1 lap less than it actually did. And this is a long track. We might have accidentally entered a fuel mileage race.
Yeah, let's watch those gaps on the side. Gap for the lead is coming down still. In the 2 laps ago, it's still on. But let's watch the gaps to see who starts to slow down a little bit. Tries to save a little bit more fuel.
And remember, the GT3s, whatever strategy they're on, their checkered flag is the GTP checkered flag. So it doesn't matter if the timer hits 0, they still have to complete the same lap as the GTPs.
Mohamed Colombo had an incident in the final corner all by himself. He's going to get going again. Carries on. He's still unable to make that move, but he'll probably settle for P3 on the podium. Pretty good result for him and his teammate running P1. I believe they're teammates anyway at Red Eagle Racing. I've said that a few times. The cars look the same. I think they are. Trackside Esports, it said for Vincent Ossoms, but the side of the car says Red Eagle Racing.
So 15 seconds on the clock as Volmers comes towards the line. He should make it in time. Indeed he does. We have one more lap of race and the white flag is out. See Barney there giving his best. And one more lap of racing to decide the winner of this race, but Herfjord has got that gap down now to 1.6. It's still looking quite far back, but any slip from Volmers and Herfjord could pounce.
And this GT3 could be that slip as he flashes his lights. Get out of my way, and he does it. He's on the grass. Volmers takes avoiding action, doesn't lose too much time, but that'll have thrown him off his game a little bit. Is that going to be what Oyston needs to catch on this last lap? The teammates are going to be fighting for the win, surely. That was so close with that car.
I have no idea. Like, surely you saw the GTP come to the left side of you. Why would you move over like that? That is bizarre. Either way, Volmers doesn't lose too much time with it. Has actually increased the gap now to Herfjord. 1.8 and counting, and it looks like he's pretty strong through this infield section. It looks like the German's done enough. Jan Volmers, with a few more corners to go, looks like he'll be able to hold on for P1. Oh, that's the GT3 looking very slow on track.
Oh. Just getting out of the way of the leaders. That's what I'll tell you who isn't. The purple Ferrari up ahead. I'm quite sure who that is off the top of my head. Car number 32 is going to get out of the way now. But it's going to come down to half a second at the end of the race.
But Volmers had enough of a buffer. He will have one straight in front of him, and it's clean air behind. Jan Volmers, your winner for GTP, but also for Fjord. Despite everything going his way on the last lap, just not quite close enough to capitalise, will bring it home in second place. Quinten Bedonk, chasing the entire way through, will come home in third place as we see a few stragglers finish in the GT3 category. Where is Vincent Ossoms on the track? Currently coming through 13A. Denzel Deruva, black flag on the last lap. You hate to see it. But for Vincent Ossoms, it has been an excellent drive all the way through. A convincing victory for not Trackside Esports, but a win in the GT3 Pro category nonetheless.
Yeah, all the drivers clearly able to make it to the end on fuel. Charlie Lord, the only driver who can really make an impact now in this race. Even that's going to be very difficult from this distance back.
I have a sneaking suspicion Matteo Lemeray did in fact not make it on fuel, but that's just off the gaps. Yeah, as you say, battle for third place Am here. It's looking like he's a little too far back though.
Closed up a lot in that final sector, but it's not going to be enough. And Alvaro is going to come home to finish on the podium, just ahead of Charlie Lord. Now, pretty good result for Charlie. He'll be pleased with that. Would have wanted more, but a good race overall from these guys. And Denzel will be disappointed. He was looking good for the podium at one point before that contact. Obviously, he's being penalised, both drivers, with some of the blame in race control's opinion.
And Colombo with a black flag.
Interesting. Or when leaving the pits, possibly. Or when he got a 1x? No, when he got a 1x, he went up to another 5 over the incident limit. That would be right.
That is a lot of incident points, either way. It was just a really good drive from Volmers. Like, Herfield was clearly putting up a convincing fight, as we have a few donuts going on for a few of these cars. Burning what's left in the fuel tank. As, Daruva given a drive-through added post-race for off-tracks, which I believe would have happened anyway. I'm not sure when Daruva picked up that final incident point, but I'm fairly sure iRacing does just automatically handle that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he'll just receive, I think it's about 40-second drop that you receive. It's very harsh. Why you don't want to get it on that last lap.
Oh, and Columbus was actually another a proper drive-through. I thought he would have finished the race already. Fair enough. There's a few stragglers just pacing the car around the track. Trins. And Daruva.
Right, I believe we've got Ignis to jump in. He had the most exciting race, but definitely some questions to ask him. And he's joining us now. Ignis, great race from you. Once again, looks like the win was kind of secured by qualifying in amongst the pro cars.
Yeah, it definitely was. Like, I didn't really have that much of a race pace. Apparently, like I couldn't get in the rhythm in terms of. So I had a really good fight with them in the beginning. Then afterwards, it just kind of dropped. But yeah, qualifying pretty much did everything for me. I did an amazing lap on quali, and that just put a big distance between our AM class drivers, and that really helped me, especially with my race pace not being as good as my qualifying.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. A brief question on strategy. I knew a few drivers took tyres at some point during the race. Did you?
No, I kind of forgot. In a sense, in the last second, I just kind of started shifting around, and then decided not to do it, so I wouldn't made a bigger mistake or just blunder like I did in the Brazil. So yeah, I just I hit myself over it, but maybe maybe this was the reason why I didn't have that much of a pace in the race, but it worked out for me either way.
Do you have the percentage of tyres where, just perchance, or?
I will need to check.
Nah, don't worry about it then.
Yeah, I haven't checked it yet. I will check it after a race, but probably wasn't looking good. I was abusing them.
You have to around here, but yeah, congratulations once again, GT3 AM winner.
Thank you.
Right, Vincent, congratulations on the win. Not quite as easy. I can't remember where you started. Were you on pole in the end, or were you in P2?
Yes, I qualified P2, but I started on pole because of the disconnect of Fabio. So I was a bit lucky with that, but yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, well, we were a little bit confused what had happened, but that explains it. Well, either way, won by 5 seconds. I think you kind of extended after the pit stops, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was the pace was alright, but in the beginning of the first stint, it was difficult to keep Luigi out of my slipstream. So I just tried to save as much as possible with maintaining like half a second gap if possible when possible. So yeah, I could drive one lap more each stint. So my last pit stop was a bit shorter than his. So that really helped me because I think once he was in slipstream, it was really difficult to get away from him because his pace was really good. So yeah, that helped.
If I asked, this will ask you as well, obviously there's a few cars taking tyres, but I'm guessing if you were trying to take short pit stops, I'm guessing you didn't take tyres then.
I did twice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but only 2 tires.
Yes.
Because you don't have enough time for 4, or if you do, I think if you do like a long pit stop and then a really short one, you can take like 3 tires in the longer pit stop. But yeah, I'd just rather had 2 new tires each time. And yeah, I think that was the right call.
Well, based on the results, hard to argue with you. Congratulations, Vincent. You've just won the GT3 Pro category.
Yes, thank you.
All right, you've had the results on screen for GT3 Pro and GT3. Obviously, that doesn't quite show the full picture. It was a very close race throughout both classes. We'll quickly run through the GTP results. So it was Jan Volmers who won the race, only by half a second in the end, but Oyston wasn't quite able to match his teammate throughout most of the race and kind of made his gains in the final stint due to a couple of mistakes for Jan and traffic swinging Oyston's way, but it wasn't quite enough to put him close enough to fight for the win until the very last lap. Quinta Verdonk finished in P3. Sergio Sanchez in P4, 15 seconds off the lead. Then we're going to go to Alex Kopp, nearly a minute behind those guys. Albert Preem had an incident that we saw in the kink, and that dropped him down to P6 in the end. Christoph Steiler in P7 and Mohamed Calambo in P8, 2 laps off the lead. Davide Favaro, 28 laps down, so won't score points, but his first race back in the GTP, qualified on pole and then put together a pretty impressive race up until the point that he went off, so showed pretty impressive pace, and he'll be back next week, I'm sure, for some more action. What was your highlight of the race, Simon?
Oh, you're making me think now. I think I want to say there was a brief moment where Volmers and Herfjord was catching up to the pack of GT3s that just didn't really want to get out of the train, so they just had to completely dive. It's just so emblematic of the style of racing get here at Road America. It's like high action, high drama, and just the fact that if anybody makes a slight mistake, it all goes terribly wrong, but everyone keeps it together. It just felt so cool.
Yeah, it was absolutely great race. Loads of close action. There'll be some more shorts posted on the YouTube feed as well, so if everyone could go give them a watch, it's much appreciated. And we'll be back next week at Belle Isle, so catch the stream this time next week. We're going back to Detroit. We went there a couple of seasons ago in the sports car series where we were running LMP3 and GT4, and we're back there with very similar cars that are much quicker, so I'm sure we're going to see some great action, some great overtaking as well, with some heavy braking zones there, particularly on the run down to what I think is turn 3. I'm sure we'll get some great action, so thank you once again.
Of course, being a street circuit, we're going to get some wall pog.
Yeah,
because there's always going to be wall pog.
And last season's street circuit was, of course, Long Beach, and we had some incredible action there with seemingly nobody wanting to lead, and whenever anybody took the lead, they crashed out. So
Bad things happened.
Yeah, there was not the. It was a bit of a curse throughout the race, and maybe we'll see a repeat of that, or maybe someone will break the anti-store racing street race curse, and you can find that out by joining us next week. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me, Simon, and we'll see you all later.
Ah.